was faulty. Critically low on fuel, Bockscar barely made it to the runway at Yonton Airfield on Okinawa. With only enough fuel for one landing attempt, Sweeney and Alberry brought Bockscar in at 150 miles per hour, 240 kilometers per hour, instead of the normal 120 miles per hour, 190 kilometers per hour, firing distress flares to alert the field of the uncleared landing. The number 2 engine died from fuel starvation as Bockscar began its final approach. Touching the runway hard, the heavy B-29 slewed left and towards a row of parked B-24 bombers before the pilots managed to regain control. The B-29's reversible propellers were insufficient to slow the aircraft adequately, and with both pilots standing on the brakes, Bockscar made a swerving 90-degree turn at the end of the runway to avoid running off the runway. A second engine added from fuel exhaustion by the time the plane came to a stop. The flight engineer later measured fuel in tanks and concluded that less than 5 minutes total remained. 25. Following the mission, there was confusion over the identification of the plane. The first eyewitness account by war correspondent William L. Lawrence of the New York Times, who accompanied the mission aboard the aircraft piloted by Bock, reported that Sweeney was leading the mission in the Great Artiste. However, he also noted its victor number as 77, which was that of Bockscar, writing that several personnel commented that 77 was also the jersey number of the football player Red Grange. 26. Lawrence had interviewed Sweeney and his crew in depth and was aware that they referred to their airplane as the Great Artiste. Except for Enola Gay, none of the 393 DSB-29s had yet had names painted on the noses, a fact which Lawrence himself noted in his account, and unaware of the switch in aircraft, Lawrence assumed Victor 77 was the Great Artiste. For, in fact, the Great Artiste was Victor 89. 27. Current status. After the war, Bockscar returned to the United States in November 1945 and served with the 509th at Roswell Army Airfield, New Mexico. It was nominally assigned to the Operation Crossroads Task Force, but there are no records indicating that it deployed for the tests. In August 1946, it was assigned to the 4105th Army Air Force Unit at Davis-Monthan Army Airfield, Arizona, for storage. 2. At Davis-Monthan it was placed on display as the aircraft that bombed Nagasaki, but in the markings of the Great Artiste. In September 1946, title was passed to the Air Force Museum, now the National Museum of the United States Air Force, at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio. The aircraft was flown. Engine controls stowed the museum on the 26th of September 1961, 28, and its original markings were restored. 2. Bockscar is now on permanent display at the National Museum of the United States Air Force, Dayton, Ohio. This display, a primary exhibit in the museum's Air Power Gallery, includes a replica of a Fat Man bomb and signage that states that it was the aircraft that ended World War II. 29. In 2005, a short documentary was made about Charles Sweeney's recollections of the Nagasaki mission aboard Bockscar, including details of the mission preparation, titled Nagasaki, the Commander's Voice. 30. Crew members. Regularly assigned crew. Crew C-13, manned the Great Artiste on the Nagasaki mission. 26. 31. Captain Frederick C. Bock, Aircraft Commander, Greenville, Michigan. First Lieutenant Hugh Cardwell Ferguson Sr., Co-Pilot, Highland Park, Michigan. First Lieutenant Leonard Godfrey Jr., Navigator, Greenfield, Massachusetts. First Lieutenant Charles Levi, Bombardier, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Master Sergeant Roderick F. Arnold, Flight Engineer, Rochester, Michigan. Sergeant Ralph D. Belanger, Assistant Flight Engineer, Pendra, New York. Sergeant Ralph D. Curry, Radio Operator, Houston, Illinois. Sergeant William C. Barney, Radar Operator, Columbia City, Indiana. Sergeant Robert J. Stock, Tail Gunner, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Nagasaki Mission Crew. Crew C-15. Front Row, D. Hart Q. Herrick, Buckley, Gallagher Spitzer. Back Row, Olivier, B. Han Sweeney, Van Pelt, Albery Crew C-15, normally assigned to the Great Artiste, 26, 32, Major Charles W. Sweeney, Aircraft Commander, North Quincy, Massachusetts. Captain Charles Donald Don Albery, co-pilot, pilot of Crew C-15, Miami, Florida. Second Lieutenant Frederick Fred J. Olivier, regular co-pilot, Chicago, Illinois. Captain James F. Van Pelt Jr., navigator, Oak Hill, West Virginia. Captain Kermit K. B. Han, bombardier, Houston, Texas. Master Sergeant John D. Q. Herrick, flight engineer, Sharpsburg, Pennsylvania. Staff Sergeant Raymond C. Gallagher, gunner, assistant flight engineer, Chicago, Illinois. Staff Sergeant Edward K. Buckley, radar operator, Lisbon, Ohio. Sergeant Abe M. Spitzer, radio operator, Bronx, New York. Sergeant Albert T. Pappy DeHart, tail gunner, Plainview, Texas. Also on board were the following additional mission personnel: Sat Smiley 26, 33, Commander Frederick Ashworth, USN, Weaponeer. Lieutenant Philip M. Barnes, USN, Assistant Weaponeer. First Lieutenant Jacob Bizzer, Radar Countermeasures, Baltimore, Maryland. Bizzer flew on both atomic missions, serving as the radar countermeasures crewman on the Enola Gay on 6 August 1945 and on Bockscar on the 9th of August 1945. National Museum of the United States Air Force display. Notes. Official USAF photo dated the 11th of August 1945, 2 days after mission, shows the aircraft with no nose art.
Good. And delete. Because if my computer crashing, it will try to open all this again. So I have to delete it. But I will put it on my Japan list. Of course, it's Nagasaki City. And this just go to my main list. No, not this one. I read that to my Japan. But I got many more. That's my Japan. That's nuclear bomb. But I got a lot of stuff I like to read. But I have more Japan. I have a long list. I'm not finished my Japan. No, Mitsubishi. Like this, but that's Mitsubishi. That's to my aircraft, not Japan list. I think, I'm not sure, I have to look my list. No, I think I just put it on my main list, I think. No, this is my Japan, that's many weeks ago. I have to download again. Mount Fiji, I have to read more Japan. But not today, because I'm reading about nuclear bombs. so cannot read all because it takes many days. It will take me weeks, but I have it. Everything is here. I have it on my read list. So I will continue my nuclear bomb. This one I will do next. For now I will stop my video and upload. It's almost 9. So I will put it on my Japan read list because it's this aircraft did bombing Nagasaki, a nuclear bomb. I think that was very bad to do, to bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So tens of thousands of children and innocent females, but many millions did die in the Second World War. But I think the Americans they did like to test the bomb. But that would be very bad if they had dropped like 50 of these bombs. Even more bad if Nazi Germany, had this nuclear bomb. Could be so actually if Nazi Germany not have surrendered, I think that Berlin, the capital in Germany, Berlin, could be a nuclear bomb, or Hamburg. I think they will have used it on the German cities, the Nazi German